Folks, it's Halloween, the scariest day of the year, so in honor of that, I thought today we would talk about some of the fighting game characters that are a little bit on the spooky side. There's a lot of horror inspiration in fighting games in general, so we're going to be running through a list of what I would consider, in my own personal opinion, to be the scariest fighting game characters out there. So how about we jump right into the list, and if you enjoy this type of content, I would really appreciate it if you could hit like on the video. That's all you gotta do. Just click that one little button. It seriously helps me out a lot and gets the video shown to more people. So with that, let's start out the list here, guys. So Killer Instinct has a few characters that are inspired by kind of horror tropes, but I think by far the scariest is who we're looking at right here, Hisako. So Hisako is obviously heavily inspired by Japanese horror, specifically the Onryo kind of trope or folklore, which is a vengeful spirit ghost that basically comes back from the dead to punish all the people that have wronged them in life. And that's exactly what Hisako is going to do to you in Killer Instinct. First of all, look at the dash animation. Her dash animation is so crazy, straight out of the end of the ring. She can similarly teleport behind you and, you know, just appear straight out of my nightmares. She also has this special move where she essentially pulls you in with her breath, and then she inhabits your body and explodes out from the inside. That one's crazy. She also has like the creepiest intro animation, in my opinion. You get jump scared every time. She also has the scariest end screen too. Oh my god, guys, it's too much. That's Hisako. She's starting out the list here from Killer Instinct. Next up, we are going to be going to the Samurai Shodown series. We're here with Samurai Shodown 5 Special. And this game has, you know, the usual samurai type characters that you would expect from a samurai fighting game. Pretty much everyone is here with their various swords and other weapons. But then we've got this guy. What is going on with this character? Kusaregedo is the character we're looking at here, and I don't really understand why a gigantic red monster with exposed bones belongs in a game about samurais fighting each other with swords. What the heck? So he has a variety of special moves, like he can summon these hands out of the ground to grab you. He can vomit, which is kind of gross, and it'll stay in a puddle on the ground. He can lick you, by the way, which also is very disturbing to me. He also has a very interesting command grab where, you know, he kind of smushes you with his knee. Oh yeah, I also like this kind of dodge move that he has where he lifts up his gut and you can see like his spine. He's a very disgusting character. I can tell that he almost has like some humor elements to him in the way he's like, you know, kind of exaggerated and he like falls down and stuff, but he's also very disturbing to me. I was always very scared of this character. Oh yeah, he can also remove his head from his body like that as well. Another thing that freaked me out about this guy is his win animation. Okay, ignore the fact that we just cut Haomaru in half here. Look, he takes a bite out of his own skin and then he goes, "Great, a free meal." I'm definitely freaked out by this guy. Kusaregedo, I think personally belongs on the list of scariest characters. What do you guys think? I have an eternal fear of this guy ever since childhood, but maybe you guys don't think he's as scary as I do. I'm not sure. So how about we go from one character with exposed bones to another here. Let's take a look at Painwheel. So Painwheel, you know, obviously a character with the wheel on her back that she can use to fly. But this character has a lot of really gross looking moves. Like a lot of her moves, she will extend her bones as spikes out of her body. She can also throw her spiked bones out of her body as a projectile. So something I've always really liked about Skullgirls is I feel like it's definitely one of those games where like the more closely you look at the animations, the more detail you start to notice. And I feel like the detail on almost every one of Painwheel's animations is just generally like really upsetting and disturbing. So she's like a lab experiment, mind controlled by an evil doctor. And yeah, she's got gross spikes, blood involved with a lot of her attacks as well, if you haven't noticed that. So she can be a nightmare to fight against due to her fast rushdown gameplay, but she can also just literally be something that occupies my nightmares because, yeah, I'm horrified by Painwheel, man. So I think she belongs on the list. In a game with a lot of horror elements, I think she's actually the scariest character, in my opinion. All right, next up, we're moving on to Guilty Gear. I feel like this may be my most controversial pick on the list, but I actually think that Dr. Faust, in specifically Guilty Gear Strive, is pretty scary. So, you know, in the earlier games, Dr. Faust was kind of like a goofball. He was like this silly guy walking through doors and doing like Bugs Bunny stuff. And, you know, he definitely still has elements of that in Guilty Gear Strive. You know, he can throw a banana and have you slip on the peel and stuff like that. But overall in this game, I feel like Faust is much creepier. So he's definitely gone through a major change in the story. I don't really want to spoil Strive story mode if that's something you care about, but a lot of, you know, so to speak, his original spirit has kind of left his body, and now he's a bit of an empty husk. You can see that visually he's much more like zombie-like now. You know, he's very pale. His veins are very visible in his body. He's no longer full of like goofy quips and one-liners. He pretty much just like moans and growls the whole time. He now has the ability to turn into a scarecrow, you know, classic Halloween trope. Am I reaching here maybe? I don't know, but all I really felt when I first saw Faust's new look in this game was, man, that's kind of creepy. Even like his running animation, like he seems so ravenous now. I don't know, I do not want to see this guy running at me. I especially don't want him trying to grab me with those scalpel fingers. Oh God, I mean, even if you do get a pretty sweet haircut out of the deal, it just doesn't seem worth it. He does have some kind of sweet elements to him as well. You know, the fact that he wants the four-leaf clover, and then he tries to help you out by coming to you with the wheelchair. But at the end of the day, he's doing a lot more harm than good, I think, Dr. Faust. So he's literally a shell of his former self, and a character that, to me, looks like he's straight out of a horror movie. I mean, look the way he's even dragging the scalpel along the ground, leaving sparks. Very much like a slasher film or something. I don't know, guys. So I know there's going to be a lot of Faust fans out there who are not going to be happy to see this placement. But personally, I think in Guilty Gear Strive, at least, Faust definitely fits the bill. But you guys can let me know down in the comments if you think I'm way off. But we got one more thing on the list here. I'm going to cheat a little bit. This is going to be kind of a multi-character entry for the last one. So you guys probably knew that this was coming. We can't do a Halloween list without talking about Darkstalkers, of course, the game that is completely inspired and shaped by horror tropes. So I'm just going to cover a bunch of characters in here that I think deserve some mention as being somewhat scary. So, you know, of course, we have Victor, who is kind of the Frankenstein of the game. If you consider Frankenstein to be scary, I don't know, but it's at least a horror trope. But like most of the characters in this game, Victor also mixes a bit of comedy in his moveset. So, like, he can grab you with his butt. I do not know why this is a thing, but it is what it is. That's his 720 grab, but let's move on from that. Lord Raptor, or Zabel in the Japanese version, is the zombie of the game. He's obviously got some horror elements like we saw with some other characters. He can make the bones extend out of his body, kind of nasty. Lord Raptor has like a chainsaw install as well, so we got big like Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes. Also big Chainsaw Man vibes with the way it's like his little pet becomes the chainsaw. I mean, did they know? They were ahead of their time with this one. He can extend his spine to hit you further away, so more kind of gross bone stuff. But, you know, of course, because we do have to mix in the humor, he can turn you into a ball and dunk you. I guess that's just that's just what we're doing in this game. I guess not everything has to be scary. Of course, Jedah would belong on the list, being a character who is largely oriented around blood. It actually has me a little scared that I might get demonetized or something. Like all his attacks, you can tell we're just dripping here. This is so gross. And he's also a character with a lot of like scythes and blades and stuff as well. I'm not exactly sure if Jedah is based on anything specific, like is he like a demon or something? But he does have the drip. in a lot of ways. But I wanted to talk about the character that I feel like is maybe the most underrated in terms of how scary they are in this game, and that's QB. I think a lot of people see QB and they're like, oh, like, she's cute. She's like a babe. What's scary about this? It's just a bee girl. There's a cat girl in the game, so what's wrong with a bee girl? But there are a lot of weird elements to QB that you're gonna want to take a second look at. So like, look at her intro animation first of all. So she's a tiny bee, and then she eats the honey, and she becomes, you know, the big QB. And something you might notice is that a lot of her attacks involve bees. So like, look, her standing fierce punch, she throws bees at you, and the bees die. The bees do not survive these attacks. So I feel like a lot of QB's theming kind of centers around this idea of the disposable nature of bees. You know, in the world of a bee, they're willing to give their life and do anything to protect the hive. And so I think this is most, you know, emphasized with her EX command grab, where she lays an egg inside of you, turns you into the cocoon, and then dies. And then a new one comes out. So you're not playing as the same QB. You're playing as a replacement. And that's what I'm getting at with her being the small bee at the beginning. You can also kind of see this in her win pose. You know, all the little bees come down on the honeycomb. So there is not just one QB. There is not a QB that is like a character. There's a whole hive of QBs, and you're just playing as a new one every single time you start a game. Playing this character, you're a different bee that's just gonna die and be replaced by another bee. So to me, I find this really freaky. This actually kind of bothers me. It makes me feel bad picking the character. I'm like, oh, my character, even if you win, you're just gonna die anyway because you're just one of a million bees. You're replaceable. It's a very existential thing to me. I don't know, guys. So yeah, even though this is a game that we got like zombies and werewolves and Frankenstein succubi, I actually feel like the bee is the character that sticks with me the most in terms of being really scary. I mean, that command grab, like, that's the kind of thing you don't forget. Being turned into having an egg laid inside of you and then a new bee coming out, to me, that's just upsetting. So I would love to hear what you guys have to say down in the comments. I know there's some scary characters I forgot. I didn't do any guest characters, like, you know, when Freddy Krueger was an MK and stuff like that. So if there's any characters like that you guys think deserve inclusion on the list, I would love to hear about it. And let me know of any other stuff I may have forgotten about. As always, I really appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you guys so much. Have a good one. Enjoy your Halloween. Be safe.